If you simply describe him as one of the better Indian authors writing in the English language, you'll miss the point. His style is unique and he's one of the few people to have captured the idiom and the cynicism of young India. But what is he himself actually like? Well, let's see if he answers the question as I introduce you to the author, Upmanyu Chatterjee. Welcome to the program, Upmanyu.
Thanks. I'm delighted to be here.
Let's talk about... I'm sure you'll be delighted right at the end, too. Let's talk about your latest book, Memories of the Welfare State. It's an intriguing title, but what does it mean?
Well, two or three things. Memories is obviously a mispronunciation of memories. Memories is also a play on one of the programs described in detail in the book, which is BOOB's Budget Organization on Base Zero. Memories is finally also the dugs, the source of succor of the welfare state. I liked the title. Very few people did when I suggested it. In fact, I had also proposed The State of the Times as a second title, much more straightforward. But I don't know, the book's been with me for 7 years, and the title hasn't changed. So, and then at the end of it, I just stuck to it.
Is the book a satire? It feels and certainly reads like one.
It's satirical in bits, but for me it's a comedy. I just wrote it to make people laugh. But I should add that for me the definition of comedy is very broad. It includes satire, certainly. It also includes grimness.
But you know, unlike, say, Moliere's satires, which were about individual types that one could have come across anywhere in the world, yours is a satire about the state and the system. It's much more telling, isn't it?
That sounds like a compliment. But it's, yeah, but the rest of it, I mean, for me, it's, as I said, it's a book that, you know, that's meant to make people laugh. And the rest of it is ballast. It's just meant to keep things afloat.
So much of satire is ballast, but you're not going to deny that there are a couple of very telling points that you're making.
No, not at all. No, I don't deny any, I don't deny any of the, but obviously satirical bits. But they are made in the spirit of comedy. If such was my intention, because I don't think that the objects of satire, of the memories, are in any way new to the reader.
Okay, let's talk about some of the things in the book. For instance, there is this family called the Aflatoons that are ruling India, and everything in the country seems to be named after them. They remind me of the Nehru Gandhis.
No. The Aflatoons are politicians.
So are the Nehru Gandhis.
Yes, but anybody who joins the world of politics becomes an Aflatoon. A magician, a conjurer, somebody who indulges in sleight of hand.
So you're mocking the entire tribe of politicians, not just the narrow Nehru Gandhi family.
Yeah, it's not, absolutely.
Is that why you chose the name Aflatoon? Sort of rhymes with buffoon and pantaloon?
Yeah, it's a nice sounding name. It also, the fact that, it's also Plato's name, it's what Plato is called in Urdu.
Except that you use it to mock rather than to actually suggest philosopher kings, because these aren't philosopher kings by any suggestion.
Yeah, no, that's part of it. As I said, that's part of the comedy. It's also, I think, a suite of some kind.
And then there's this whole attitude that the book has towards the civil service and civil service. I mean, you get the distinct feeling that Upmanyu Chatterjee doesn't like civil servants.
No. The subject is much more complex than that. If I can take a minute off, you know, if it happened to me, when I changed houses, I sent a person from the office to the ration shop to get my ration card changed. Not to the ration shop, but to the office that changes ration cards. When the peon came back, he fairly agitated. He said that he couldn't get it done because the clerk had wanted a bribe. and the peon had drawn himself up to his full height and said that, don't you know, my boss is an IAS officer. To which apparently the peon had been told by the clerk, very well, come back tomorrow. He might have been making all of it up, but you can't say that the civil service or the civil servant in general, someone like me, is proud of that clerk. You can't say either that the system is to blame. It's not. It's the clerk that is to blame. In fact,
so the officer's okay, but it's the little pettifogging
not at
peon
all.
that carries
Not at
the
all.
weight.
Whoever, I mean, to my mind, to sum it up, corruption and inefficiency are personal things. I mean,
not quite. Can I interrupt? I mean, for instance, you have this wonderful debate in the book halfway through about the nature of honesty and dishonesty, and you then write, and I'll quote you, as a civil servant, one was dishonest when one used one's official position to hurt, exploit, and abuse the citizens, applicants, and beneficiaries of the welfare state. But when the civil servant or the politician did the same things to the state, no, that doesn't sound very heinous, you comment.
well, that's tongue-in-cheek.
Yes, but you're also pointing at something else, that for the civil servant, honesty is not just an ambivalent concept, it's a pretty self-indulgent one.
I know, but that's, yes, I mean, that's complete irony. I mean,
it's also complete truth, isn't it? That's the point, isn't it?
No, let me rephrase that. To get back to my Russian card story, it's, you know, our systems, our procedures are actually quite first rate. And people who blame the system for things going wrong, to my mind, complicate the basic issue.
Quite right. It's the people manning the system
Absolutely.
that are, but that's what your book suggests. And when I say it's the civil service you don't like, I don't mean the system.
Yeah.
I mean the individuals and the way they function within the system and the ambivalent rules and, more importantly, their very cavalier attitude to the law. Once again, I'll quote, you say, the law becomes an ass when it's applied to its creators. It really isn't meant to be. And again, you write, to be on the right side of the law, one simply needs to be above it. I mean, that's tongue-in-cheek, but
Yeah,
that's also how the world perceives the civil service.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I don't think there is, I mean, there are obvious sort of layers to that, which both define my attitude to the subject matter and at the same time are comic.
Let me ask you this. How close to the truth is this satire? Is it based upon real experiences, things that have happened to you, things that you've seen?
Yes and no. Some of it is, yeah, things that have happened to me, things I've heard about. In fact, it's the normal process, I think, of writing a book.
So it's not pure fantasy by any means?
Oh, no.
The real world of
Not pure.
babudom and bureaucracy is very much like this.
Yeah.
That's a terrible indictment of the civil service and civil servants, isn't it?
No, there's nothing new in the book. I mean, let me rephrase that. It's not something that I should be saying. The background, what keeps the book going, the subject matter, as it were, is something that one reads about in newspapers and journals and has read about.
But when you read
ages.
factual reports, they're cold and dry. When you read them as satire, it's much more powerful, much more telling, and that's the amazing thing. This book, although it's comic and although it makes you laugh, it also shocks. And satire is meant to shock.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds like a compliment. Yeah, it's meant. Well, as I said, my my definition of comedy is enormously. I mean, it's really wide. It
How do
includes all of
your
it.
colleagues in the service react? I mean, you keep calling it comedy. Do they see it as comic, or are they actually annoyed and upset with you for uncovering things they wished had stayed hidden?
I frankly can't speak for all of them. I can't speak for them as a group. There must be diverse reactions. I have received certain very favorable reactions from some senior civil servants.
Or what about hate mail? Have you received any of that?
No. No, not as yet.
The amazing thing, of course, is that you are a civil servant yourself. In fact, you come from a family of civil servants. Your parents are civil servants. Your older brother is a civil servant. Does that sit easy with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of very comfortable in my schizophrenia. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite I don't, I mean, the fact that, no, I'm just used to that world. I mean,
But in fact, there's a real sense in which you live in two worlds. You are part of the civil service and part, therefore, of the Aflatoonesque creation that you're writing about.
Absolutely.
And yet, you're distant enough from it to comment on it and be away from it.
Yeah.
So there are two Upamanyus.
Sums it up, yeah. Yes.
What made you join the civil service?
Well, that's about almost 20 years ago. Well, I don't know. It's a nice way to start. No, options were very limited, I think, or maybe I didn't explore them enough. I was teaching here in Delhi University I taught for 1 year. My post was ad hoc, it wasn't renewed, etc. I mean, I think most life's decisions are made,
So you mean you
by
were looking for
circumstances.
security and the civil service offered it and you took it?
Yeah, I just sat the exam. Everybody else around me was sitting the exam. I sat it. And then by the time I sat the exam, my ad hoc post wasn't renewed.
And so you stumbled into the civil service instead?
Yeah, it sounds dreadful, yeah.
How long do you intend to continue there?
Oh, I'm very comfortable.
Do you think this book would have an adverse reaction? I mean, do you think that when senior civil servants and perhaps politicians read it and realize and understand the message of it, that they might, to quote a colloquialism, take it out on you?
I doubt very much. There isn't a message.
Oh, there is. You're just denying it.
No, there is.
It's an expose of the civil service. It's an indictment of it, even done comically, perhaps.
No, it's. I shouldn't be saying it. It's large-hearted.
It needs a large-hearted response.
No, I doubt if anything will happen.
Do you share the normal civil service ambitions? Most civil servants want to rise to be chief secretary, permanent secretary, maybe cabinet secretary. Do you share that ambition?
This is going to sound horrible. No, the ambition I have within the civil service, it's really going to sound horrible, is that I'd like to do the job that I'm doing reasonably well.
But you don't want to do it all the way to the top?
Well, no, my future career as a civil service hasn't bothered me. I mean, in the sense I sort of drift with the years.
So that's the difference between you and other civil servants. You're off the system, and yet you're distant enough to want to comically ridicule the system at the same time.
But I don't, no, I mean, sort of promotions and so on, and transfers, etc., are fairly routine. I mean, I don't think that.
But it's not something you hanker after. It's not something that's driving you.
I mean, not particularly, and that probably holds true for quite a few of us.
Let's take a break. I want to come back in part 2 and talk to what I call the man behind the civil servant and the author, perhaps the real Upmanyu Chatterjee. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is the author Upmanyu Chatterjee. Let's talk about you personally. You have an intriguing and delightful nickname, Bomba, if I'm correctly pronouncing it. I believe it means in Bengali sister brother. How do you get it?
I think when I was born, they expected a daughter. My 2 elder brothers expected a sister, which is Bon, but they got a brother, so that's Bhai. Bon Bhai was eventually shortened to Bomba.
As a child, I'm told that you were shy, possibly even introverted.
Well, I still am, yeah. Well, more or less, yeah.
But cricket was a passion from a fairly early age.
Yes, it waned too. It waned round about the time when, it's funny, but round about the time when one-day cricket began. I was very...
So you're a test man?
Oh, absolutely.
A purist?
Absolutely. In fact, 1971 and 74, etc., were just, the great years of cricket.
That's when
for me.
India won its series against the West Indies.
That's right. And
tell me a little bit about your cricket. I gather in your school days you were quite an important player in the school team. You often won the match for them.
We did have the something or the other, pentangular, I think, pentangular inter-school tournament, juniors and seniors. And I still remember, well, for us, incredibly tense matches between my school, which is St. Xavier's, Delhi, and what was it? There was one with Bal Bharati, I think, and one with Mount St. Mary's. Cliffhangers, absolutely.
And did you play a stellar role?
Did I play a stellar role? One, yes. I took some wickets. Yeah. But
Now, alongside cricket, you also started writing while you were at school. What sort of stuff was that?
the school used to encourage one-act play festivals, inter-house one-act play festivals. Great events. I mean, very tense competition.
And you wrote those?
Yeah, I wrote this was when I was what, in the 9th standard, which makes it, what is it, 13 or something. We wrote a play on school life called Dilemma, which was well, great fun.
A satire again?
Comedy.
So it began very early.
Yeah, and it was followed by an adaptation of an Alfred Hitchcock story.
So as well as
which was a bit like this. It was actually it was called The Man at the Table, and it's about this this cripple on a wheelchair. Dramatic stuff, but it was great fun.
So on top of being introverted, were you also precocious?
Was I precocious? No, I think so. Normal.
Normal. It's not normal to write one-act plays when you're 13.
No, there were lots of others doing it as well. I wasn't the only one.
So it was an abnormal school where you were a normal person.
That's right. That's right. In fact, there was another. There were 2 other plays written by students.
Now I gather you began writing seriously when you joined the civil service. Many people will think that's almost a contradiction in terms. Is the civil service, in a sense, and that entire ambiance, a sort of wellspring for your muse?
It's been a great experience, absolutely. It still is a great experience in the old-fashioned sense of being educative. One actually learns new things every day. It is true that I began writing, shall we say, again, after I joined the civil service. A handful of short stories in particular. And I mean, all the short stories that I wrote before English August was published, relate directly or indirectly to the post 1983, which is when I joined service.
Now, English August was published in 1988. I gather Amitav Ghosh had a role to play in encouraging you to write the book and publish it.
No, I had finished the book, but I had no idea where to go. Amitav was then was about to publish, I think, The Circle of Reason. He gave me his agent's name and address, his ex-agent's name and address, and that's it. I mean, the first break, in fact. The agent liked the book. Not that we got a publisher very easily. It still took 2 years before we found one.
What put them off? Your unusual style, the irreverence of the book, or did they just simply fail to understand it?
Didn't like it, I think.
Amazing, because it was quite a success when it came up. I mean, it appealed enormously to people almost at the word go. Was that because English-speaking westernized Indians identified with the central character?
I don't know. I think after that long wait of 2 years, I think I've been very lucky with my first book. English August was very well received, and I had no idea. It was extremely gratifying. There were negative reviews, of course. There were some who were disgusted with both the character and the book, but on the whole, the response was very pleasurable. I seem to have heard the question before.
The similarities are obvious.
Yeah, but he's a character I'm very comfortable with. He's a kind of bag into which I can put all the jokes that I want to include in a book. I'd like to think that I'm more complex. No, jokes apart, it's impossible to, naturally one needs a certain amount of objectivity before you can actually create a character. But am I close to him? Yeah.
Now, in 1990, you got married to your wife, Anne.
Yeah.
Where and how did you meet?
Oh, at a friend's house in House Khas, New Delhi. neither of us wanted to go because I was tired, she was ill, or vice versa. She was here on a scholarship. She was doing Hindi and Urdu, I think. Yeah. And that's it. 89, I was at 90.
Did you get married immediately after you met?
89. No, we met in 89. We got married in 90. Yeah.
Your friends say that the older he gets, the more eccentric he becomes.
Well, I have a cap which is...
Are you prone to eccentricity?
No, no. But what do they mean? I mean...
Well, they say he's given up drinking and smoking. He's become a vegetarian.
That's true. Vegetarian, no, not yet, no.
But
there's
a health food freak at any rate?
Not particularly, no.
So your friends misunderstand you a little?
Well, in the sense I don't gorge myself on, mithai and paneer ke pakode and things, no. But
But are you an eccentric?
Hardly, I think. I don't drink, I neither drink nor smoke.
They say you've got a phobia about computers as well. You can't stand them.
I'm good. This is going to sound really old-fashioned, but I'm still not convinced of the need to have a computer. This is really going to sound old-fashioned. A pen does everything for me.
So how are the books written?
Longhand.
Literally?
Yeah.
Painfully?
Yeah.
And
well, not very painful. I love it. I mean, not necessarily with a fountain pen. Even a pencil will do. But longhand. You just need a scrap of paper. You don't need a computer. You don't have to pray for the electricity to, not to go off, and that, machine at the bottom, and are you connected, and all that.
And you're learning Sanskrit, I'm told.
Yeah, I wish I was making better progress. I mean, I've signed up for a correspondence course just out of curiosity, partly because I deal with it in my other life. I was just curious to learn it because of that cliche, the mother of Indian languages. I should be working harder at it, yeah. I haven't made much progress, no.
Well, now, a very well-received author, a comfortable, even if somewhat cynical and skeptical civil servant. Where do you go?
I don't know. I mean, the future doesn't bother me. I mean, I tend not to plan. I mean, in the sense that, day by day is tough enough, actually.
Well, good luck, Upmanyu, and let's leave the future of mystery. Thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thanks. Pleasure.